Welcome back to ESPR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Niall and Owen. This is the big fight breakdown for Joyce versus Derek Chisora taking place at the O2 London on the 27th of July. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel and check out the rest of our content. We produce a lot of content, whether it be fight previews, fight breakdowns, fight reviews, interviews with fighters. We're at press conferences, we're at shows. We do it all. We try and do quite a lot here at SBR. So please do subscribe, gents. We will get straight into it. Some people are into this fight, some people not so much. But here we are talking about it. Where are these guys in your own personal rankings system? Derek Chisora, once upon a time, was a legitimate kind of contender in the heavyweight division. Has never been world champion, but I'm not sure Chisora's ever really wanted to be world champion. He's given some top guys kind of good runs for their money. Dillian White, Joseph Parker, to name a couple. He's also been in there with David Haye, Vladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury on 3 occasions. So he's had quite a career. Joyce, on the other hand, was on the verge of fighting for a world title, was seen as a genuine top 5 heavyweight just over a year ago, before taking the decision to fight Zhilei Zhang and losing twice in a row. Niall, I'll start with you. How would you describe Chisora now when it comes to ranking? 13 losses on his record now. Maybe hasn't looked great for a while. Would you consider him to still be top 15, top 25? Where's your head at?
Not to sound too harsh, I think top 25 would even be pushing it, to be honest with you. I think Chisora is beyond done. I really do. You know, it's not a strong division, when it gets outside of the kind of world class, world champions, the elite of the division, top 4 or 5. It's not a great division. That being said, Chisora's days are long gone. I'd pick probably probably about it actually. I'll probably pick everybody in the top 15 to beat Derek Chisora. And as I say, whether it gets to top 25, I think that's even pushing it, to be honest with you. So yeah, he definitely doesn't belong anywhere near the top 15 for me. I have enjoyed his career. I've always enjoyed watching Derek Chisora fight, but he shouldn't be stepping into a ring anymore, as kind of drastic as that might sound.
Yeah. I think he's got 2 wins in the last couple of years. Kubrat Pulev against Gerald Washington. I was fortunate enough to be at the Pulev fight. And I watched the Gerald Washington fight on TV. I'm not convinced he won either of them, if I'm honest. And I just think if you look at the win before that, it was against David Price, which was about 5 years ago. So yeah, I think he's 40, 41 years old now, and whether he should, there's another debate in terms of whether he should be fighting at all, let alone fighting a fresher man, a bigger man in Joyce as well. Owen, how about you? Where's Derek Chisora now? Obviously not the prettiest record, but has still given some contenders a good fight in recent years. Where do you have him?
I have to agree with Niall. I mean, even off the top of my head, if you look at not even necessarily contenders yet, outside of your AJs, Usyk, Furies, etc., if you put him in with, say, Jalalov, Martin Bakole, etc., I think everyone's backing them to stop him. Even your likes of Cabby Owls. I even think now if you threw him in with Moses Atalma would run through him. And someone like Atalma's having almost like an upbringing. It's slow and steady. They're taking it fight by fight. But I think if you give fed him to someone like Chisora, I think he batters him. It's a shame because I think although he was never, like you say, I think you were spot on at the start, Elliot. I don't think he ever actually intended to be world champion. I think he just intended to earn as much money as he can out of the sport, entertain. He's done brilliant at that. I think there was a stage where he gave the top guys trouble. Then there was a stage where he gave contenders trouble, and he was almost a gatekeeper. And I think now he's just finished, and it's just a paydays.
Yeah. Look, I don't. Surely hasn't got too many fights left. Who knows? This could be his last fight. On Joyce, was seen by many people as a top 5 heavyweight, if not a top 10 heavyweight, before kind of career took a really downward turn. Getting first fight against Zhang, obviously suffered a really bad eye injury, so you could argue didn't legitimately get stopped. Second fight against Zhang, legitimately got stopped. Um, had a fight against Cash Ali earlier this year. Some would say didn't look the best, didn't look himself, but maybe he didn't need to against Cash Ali. Owen, I'll keep it blunt, as I like to do. Is Joe Joyce a top 15 heavyweight?
I think he could probably just about cling on to about 15th place at the moment. I think the Cash Ali fight was it was pointless. It was just rounds, just get in the ring, just to almost. I think that was more to see what demons he's got than anything. Because if I know it's Cash Ali, but if Cash Ali had a landed flush and he didn't like it, if it hurt him, then it's a case of okay, there's you're never going to do anything in the heavyweight division again. So I think after the baffling decision to even take the Zhang fight for the first fight, and even more baffling decision to rematch him. I think Cash Ali, without reading into it too much, I think that was literally just exercise the demons almost, get back in the ring and weight off his shoulders. I think I'd hold him just probably about 15th or so, just because what has Zhang taken away from him? Because, like you say, although it was an injury in the first fight, he was taking some big shots, and the second one, that punch was unbelievable. And getting punched like he did by a guy of Zhang's size and Zhang's power, your next fight, well, not the Cash Ali, but your next fight where you're fighting someone who, like I say, I think Chisora is done, but Chisora is going to come out swinging. Even if he only throws 8 punches in a round, they're going to be 8 haymakers, and he's barely going to box. So I think it's for me, he's just hanging on, but this is a telltale sign against someone like Chisora of not necessarily ability wise, but more mentally for me, what he's actually got left,
Mm,
and how much has Zhang taken out of him.
interesting, very interesting. Noel, how about you? Have you got him top 15? Look, I could argue here and say Joe Joyce. There's one man who he's lost to. He's got some good wins on his records. Consider Joe Joyce has beaten Daniel Dubois, and Daniel Dubois now is a world champion. Is about to fight Anthony Joshua in a massive fight. What do you think? Do you agree with Owen? Is he kind of on the borderline of being on the top 15 or not? What do you think?
It's actually quite surprised me there, Owen's answer. Like I can agree with the points that he's saying, and he might look at me like I'm crazy, but I think Joe Joyce is still a legitimate top 10 for me. And I think people's judgments, and I'm not saying like Owens or I think other people's judgments are clouded recently on Joe Joyce with those Zhang defeats. They were big defeats, and it was crazy and stupid decision to take those fights. But that being said, Xile Zhang is legitimate now top five heavyweight, really, isn't he? You know, he's just kind of demolished Deontay Wilder. He was a top heavyweight, although what he has left, I don't know. Razor Thin lost to Joseph Parker. Philip Hergovich probably should have beat him. Zhang is quality and has attributes to kind of give anyone nightmares. So I don't think those losses have knocked him out of the top 10 when you consider Elliot, as you said, the wins he's had before. You know, he stopped Daniel Dubois. He was now a world champion and on the run of his career. You know, he's had a great run recently. He's beat Joseph Parker. You know, he's demolished Joseph Parker, who was on probably the run of his own career. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not a great division outside of say the top five, those world class fighters. So I think Joe Joyce definitely has enough to remain in the top 10 for me. But yeah, I do understand. I definitely take on board what Owen said, and he does need to get back in with those big names quickly. But time isn't on his side. But we'll see what he does have left after this fight. But yeah, top 10 for me.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be interesting to revisit this conversation the day after the fight, to be honest, to see if opinions have changed. I think one factor about Joyce is his age, 38 years old now. Obviously turned pro quite late. Had a successful amateur career, but what does he have left? And if the answer is not much, then how does that affect your ranking? So let's chat on July 28th, gents, and see where we're all at with that one. Moving on. Prime versus prime. It's a tricky one because have we seen Joe Joyce's prime? Are we in Joe Joyce's prime now? I don't really know, but I'm going to let you figure out that one for yourself. Prime versus prime. Sorry, who wins this one, chaps? If you look at Chisora went through that period of he had a very close fight abroad with Kubrat Pulev a few years ago. Had an extremely close fight with Dillian White, which a lot of people thought he won. Knocked out Carlos Takam in London. Some may say that was one of his a peak in his career. He was maybe around his prime then, maybe not. But that was a period when he was kind of really kind of competitive at the against genuine top 10 heavyweights. Now I'll stick with you. Prime versus Prime, who without giving you a prediction for this fight away, who wins?
An interesting one with Derek Chisora, as you say. When exactly is his prime? To be honest with you, he went on that run during the war phase, if you will, War Chisora, where he knocked out Takam, knocked out Arthur Spilke, had that war with Dillian White. Was that when he was at his best? Probably, yeah, probably was. So what it comes down to is in his prime, I don't know what Chisora really done better than Joe Joyce, apart from maybe hand speed. But everybody who faces Joe Joyce is gonna have quicker hands than him, really, to be honest with you. So I think if they're in their prime, as I say, it's hard not to give a prediction away, but I think we all know where we're gonna go on this one, prediction wise. But I just think prime versus prime, I think Joe Joyce still too heavy-handed and too relentless for me for Derek Chisora, but maybe Chisora kind of he does have a hell of a chin, as does Joyce. So maybe a point win or a late referee stoppage, who knows? But Prime versus Prime, yeah, I can't see what Chisora even at his best does better than Joe Joyce. So Joe Joyce for me beats him if they're both at their best.
Yeah, you got to think. One thing I've always found fascinating about Joe Joyce is continuing to be hit and just taking it and moving forward, which obviously didn't happen in the Zhang fights. But I think we saw it in Dubois, the Dubois fight, saw it in the Parker fight, and he stopped both of them late in the fight. Owen, what's your opinion? Prime versus Prime. Who would you have winning?
I said before we come on this video, I really like this point because it's such a tough one. I think, like Niall said, it's so hard to judge what is Joe Joyce's prime. And I think for me, if you look at that run of Chisora's prime, he fed himself to the wolves. He went from winning a British title to fighting Hay, Klitschko, and Fury in the space of 5 fights. So it's really hard to tell because he went to British level, pretty much cruised through to British level, then just went almost like, right, fuck it, give me everyone and anyone. I'll fight everyone. But I think, like Niall said, Chisora's too open to a fight. He's too open to dropping hands and let's just have it out. And I think Joe Joyce isn't really the ideal fighter to stand in the middle and try and trade with, although Chisora would probably beat him to the punch in terms of hand speed. Again, like Niall said, there ain't many heavyweights that Joe Joyce is going to have faster hands than. So yeah, I just think over time it'd almost Chisora would try and almost outman Joe Joyce, but I think Joyce would break him down and get the late stoppage or cruise in a sense to a points victory. Because I just think Chisora he enjoys getting hit far too much, and he'd drop his hands to like almost like Fury style against Wilder. Let me see your power. I can just see Chisora being stupid and going, come on, let's have it. And Joe Joyce isn't exactly the ideal man to do that with. So yeah,
Yeah,
Joyce on or a very late stoppage for me.
yeah, interesting. I think one thing about Chisora is that I'm not convinced he's ever really cared about winning or losing, which kind of maybe explains the record he's got, and that's okay. I think he's like a popular guy, entertaining, but he cares about kind of getting paid and having a fight, having a scrap. I think he enjoys that and will go down fighting. We move on to actual predictions now, gents. So it's a similar sort of question, isn't it? Owen, I'll stick with you. In 30 seconds or less, what happens on July 27th?
I think it could be the slowest heavyweight fight in history. I think there could be a lot of hugging. CompuBox is going to love the potential for least amount of punches ever thrown in a heavyweight fight in a round. I just think both men it's are completely all different stages of their career, but almost at a similar stage in a sense. I think Chisora's just in this for the money. I don't think he really cares. He didn't really care in his prime, so I can't see him caring much now. So I just think it'll be a slow and sluggish 4, 5, 6 rounds, and then Joe Joyce will stop him. Maybe sort of round 7, round 8. And I honestly do not think there'll be too many punches landed in this fight. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, I think it'll be a comfortable Joe Joyce stoppage.
Fantastic. No, what are you going for?
I have to agree with Alan first of all and saying it's going to be very slow. It's going to be, it's going to be quite violent. I think for the early rounds, it's going to be slow, but it's going to be heavy-handed and violent. Um, it's an interesting point, and what does Joyce have left? The pressure's on Joyce here, to look good, not only win but look good doing it. Chisora doesn't care about winning or losing. You said it yourself. He's going to come out swinging early. But I think Joyce is going to hurt him badly here. I think Joe Joyce is really going to hurt Derek Chisora. I think, as I say, he's going to come out swinging early. He's going to go back to a still hurt and blowing heavy after about 3 rounds. And I think the corner might give him a couple of more rounds, but I just think Joe Joyce is going to absolutely run through him. And I can see the corner pulling him out. I'd say round 5. I think the corner will pull Chisora out after a bad beating because I think it could get rough in there. Yeah, Joyce with a comprehensive win for me. And if it's not comprehensive, I think Joe Joyce needs to ask questions of himself of how much he has left, to be honest. As I say, he needs to not only win, but he needs to look really good doing it.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, and I think a factor I'm really interested in here is Joyce's confidence. Make of the Cash Ali fight what you will. I was lucky enough to be ringside for that, and Joyce didn't look confident against Cash Ali. He didn't look confident against someone who wasn't there to win. I just think he's going to be up against someone who will throw punches, can punch hard, and I'm really intrigued by this one. I'll join you, gents. I'll go for a Joe Joyce victory, but I'm not super confident on this one, to be honest. I think as long as Chisora gives it a go, I think Joyce's demons are still there, and I'm not sure he's quite recovered from that. But we'll see. It should be a fun fight. Big heavyweight fight happening in London, July 27th. Owen, Niall, good to speak to both of you. Again, if you've enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Niall, Owen, I'll speak to both of you again very, very soon.